problem of, we've got this really good course now, we've put an awful lot of work into it. We have, we had 60 students complete the course and graduate, but we're not retaining the members. So there has to be, that would suggest rather that there is a disconnect and that perhaps the brand itself isn't as well recognised. So in fairness, they have been of great assistance, came up with some ideas. And then we ourselves focused on hosting joint events, and also we had an event in February this year with Alan Cranwell, a US tax attorney, whereby it was a free event and we opened it up to friends of STEP as well. So all of those events were really to try and help build our brand. As well as this event this evening, we invited an awful lot of friends from STEP who may or may not attend, but I think at a minimum, the invites were landing on their desk. They were being reminded of STEP Ireland and our existence in case they had forgotten. So what STEP Org, we'll say, did to assist us was they took stands at a number of professional conferences that we suggested. So they took a stand at the Institute of Tax conference, and they took a stand at the Conference of Chartered Accountants Ireland, so all to help promote the brand. So hopefully we'll continue to that, because I think that worked out well. What we then did as a committee was have, as I said, joint seminars. I want to talk about those as well in a minute. So we had our annual conference in May, continuing on, I suppose, of our education of our members. And Tina Queally organised that with a number of our subcommittee members, and we moved venue this year to the Hilton in Charlemont, and I think it went down really well. I think our lunch might have overrun a bit, but that was probably more a reflection of everybody enjoying it. And again, we were very grateful to our members who come to speak and our members who come to attend. The other thing we did this year with our conference was try to broaden the range of topics. So it was a bit more general than specific, and the feedback we received was quite positive in respect of that. Smith & Williamson again sponsored our conference, for which we're very grateful, and they have confirmed that they're going to sponsor our conference again in 2019, which will be on a Friday around the middle of May, once we figured out when all the midterm breaks and various things are on. So our seminar subcommittee, of which there are 4, was quite busy. They tend to break it down into 2 by 2, and each twosome organises various events. We have been focusing now this year on lunchtime events because they have been much more popular, and we've moved away from the evening events. As I mentioned, a lot of our events even this year were joint events. So we had the Law Society was just in October, the Institute of Tax was in September, and then we were also very fortunate to be sponsored in a number of our events. So we had an event in April for our members with Finola O'Hanlon, and that was sponsored by Erisbeg. And then we also had our summer drinks event, which was sponsored by Goodbody, and that was also a really excellent event. We, for the first time, had sort of a round table discussion, which I think people enjoyed as something different. We continued our focus on hosting seminars outside of Dublin to try and benefit our members. We continued with the Southern Law Association. Andrea spoke at that, and that's actually a really good conference for us. I think it's attended by about 90 people. The Southern Law Association is really big in Cork, and a really good way for us to partner and to promote our brand and what we do for our members. I had the fortune of going to Carlow Kilkenny and speaking at that. So that is a summer that we hadn't promoted before. So that was a SkillNet seminar there for solicitors again, and that was with Carl German. So we've really just been trying to sort of spread our wings again this year. As I mentioned, we had our free event in February with Alan Granwell, who is the US tax attorney, and as I said, that was really a good way for us to again kind of remind everybody what we do and to have a nice sort of afternoon, and we had lunch, and that provided a networking opportunity as well. Okay, so again, I just would like to thank everybody who did speak at any of our seminars, and in particular I'd like to thank our seminar subcommittee of Andrea, Katrina, Lydia and Sandra, who do work quite hard in relation to that. So then in terms of our representation role, actually this is probably of our three themes or drivers, this was probably what we had least activity in the past 12 months, although I think it's about to ramp up again, but I think we were really just focused on the 4th and 5th AML for the past 12 months, so that's really about the height of the representational work that we did. But thanks to Catherine Duggan and Carl Darling, we just learned yesterday, we weren't aware that there's a private members bill that has been proposed by Senator Michael McDowell and a number of others, that the losing party shouldn't necessarily be entitled to costs from an estate in a contentious probate action. And I know there's obviously case law around that, but this would codify it and obviously make it statute, and we will certainly be making submissions in relation to that. Certainly something that's probably very close to the barristers in the room, but equally obviously solicitors as well. And what's interesting about the bill, it's very short and succinct and plain speaking in many ways, but you know, it totally doesn't at all address the public policy reasons as to why the costs of an unsuccessful party come out of an estate, and that is something that we will certainly want to impress. It is a private members bill obviously, but nonetheless we will be making submissions on that. But equally, if there is anything that you think we should be making submissions on, we would certainly welcome your input in relation to that. So then just moving on to our other sort of heads of business that we look at. We have our website obviously, and Nisha and Treya have been responsible for the website over the past 12 months, and they kind of update it with various things. With the GDPR as well now, we've had to take a new look at the website, and we'll actually most likely be moving website provider. One of the things that the website coordinators on our committee does is provide passwords, so if you lose your password and need to get it reset, our committee member will do that for you, but obviously that's not a very quick service because you have a voluntary committee member who may or may not be checking the various emails, and so hopefully we're moving to a more, probably going to engage a better website provider to enable that to be done at that level as opposed to at committee level, so it becomes more efficient and equally ensures that the website is GDPR compliant and has various privacy notices and things like that. So one of the things that we have introduced in the past 12 months, as I mentioned, is the branch newsletter. And that was just really to try and give something back to all of our members. Again, I think we're quite conscious that, you know, we're based in Dublin, and while the majority of our members are probably in Dublin, there's still a significant cohort of members outside of Dublin. How do we assist those? Obviously we record our seminars and they are available on our website, but we wanted to be able to give something else tangible to everybody. So we have set up a newsletter, and in fairness, STEP in the UK as well, they have assisted us with doing this and obviously with distributing it. But this branch newsletter, the idea is twice a year, just give you an update on the branch news. We also include e-briefs we think might be relevant, or seminars, kind of give you an update of seminars in case you haven't been following what seminars have happened. And then we have case law and anything else that might be of relevance. So Owen Burke, our committee member, is now the editor of that. And again, as I said, we have a subcommittee that works on that. So we're very grateful to everybody and all their work in launching that this year. So I will be going through the counts, obviously in a short while, but just to let you know that another project that we undertook this year, which was far from appealing, but one that was done very well by Tracy and by Siobhan, was to look at how we're taxed. So we are a branch of STEP UK, but we do file tax returns, and I suppose we carried out a historical analysis over the past 4 years to see whether or not we would have a liability, and really the core of where our liability would come from is that we have obviously members attend our seminars, but equally our seminars are often open to non-members who pay. And in circumstances where we're having a joint seminar and we get a portion of a fee from the Law Society or the Institute of Tax, when we looked at it, really we felt that actually a lot of that income would have been non-member income as opposed to member income. And in short, obviously we have to pay tax on the non-member income, whereas we don't on the member income. And we just felt when Siobhan and Tracy looked into this, that really the split we had between member and non-member income probably wasn't accurate now. So I think it was a 60-40 split originally, and we've just moved it to a 70-30 split. So we found that in terms of the income that we receive from our seminars, that it tends to be 70% non-members, 30% members. So that has led to a tax liability this year. So the accounts we will look at are March 17 to March 18, and obviously we've just filed the return for that accounting year. And so for the first time, I suppose you'll see a tax liability in our accounts, and that will continue going forward. It's very small. I think this year it might be €600 because we had carried losses for it. So that's just an issue that, in fairness, was like a nettle that nobody really had any interest in grabbing. But in fairness to Tracy and Siobhan, I'm really glad that they could do it and that they managed to resolve it so quickly, so efficiently, without STEP having to make a voluntary disclosure or anything like that. So I really am appreciative of that, because that was just not really an enticing issue to take hold of. So it was great to resolve that. In terms of other things that we did this year, Annette O'Connell, who's a probate officer, she retired, and as a mark of respect to her, I suppose, and to acknowledge what a wonderful colleague she really was to all of our members, we organised a dinner for her, and Catherine Duggan came back and helped us significantly with that, so we're very grateful. So that was just a dinner for about 10 people, principally former chairs, and we just honoured Annette in that way. So that was a nice thing to do, I suppose, for Annette. So if we weren't, or if I wasn't making it hard enough for everybody, or putting everybody hard to work, our 17 committee members, I was actually approached by Fáilte Ireland, I suppose, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago now, and they asked would we consider being conference ambassadors, which isn't a term I'd ever heard of, but they basically they saw that STEP holds a congress, a worldwide congress, every 2 years, and they suggested to us that we might like to put Dublin forward to host the STEP Congress. So we discussed it as a committee, and we felt that it would be it would be a great thing to do for our members, although it would be a lot of work, and again it would sink in with our desire to build the brand within Ireland and make the brand more knowledgeable, more familiar rather. And so we submitted an expression of interest to STEP in the UK, stating that we would be interested in hosting the STEP Global Congress, which is next on in September 2020. So they just had a congress in Vancouver in September, and Andrea went to that on our behalf. I think it's attended by approximately 400 people maybe, but from our perspective is something I suppose that we would look to host. If we were to be successful, it would probably replace our annual conference in that year, and we would hope that it would provide a really significant opportunity for our members to not only network with each other, obviously, but to network on a more global scale within STEP. Fóilte Ireland as well offer significant assistance, including conference coordinators and things like that. So while it will undoubtedly be more work for the committee, I think there would be significant assistance available to us. And we have been informed that we are currently the front runners for hosting that. So watch this space, I suppose, and we'll certainly be calling on you should it happen, because I think it would be a great opportunity to really come together. Obviously there'll be lots of speaking opportunities, sponsorship opportunities, and we would really hope that all our members would be enthusiastic about it, should it in fact happen. So like everybody else, we've been looking at Brexit and Europe, and Aileen recently went to a conference in Luxembourg on AML, which we really appreciate. Aileen tends to keep us up to date on these things, and while there, Aileen learned about STEP Europe, which isn't something that we were actually aware of, which is basically just a body of European STEP branches that come together, and I think now more than ever, being the last remaining common law country within the EU, I suppose we're very keen to pipe up and ensure that our voice is heard, and we're hoping to become more involved in STEP Europe, and we have submitted an application to become part of their gang, really, because I think with Brexit we just need to be very aware. I mean, the way in which STEP Ireland is obviously a branch of STEP in the UK, and just the way it's set up, it remains very focused on the UK. And I know I went to the branch chair assembly last year, Tina went this year, and when you go, you get that real sense of, okay, this is, you know, at times they can almost forget about the Irish branch. I think it's really important now in the context of Brexit that we stand up and shout and just ensure that our voice is heard and that we're not forgotten about. So as well as Brexit, the other sort of popular topic this year was GDPR, and as I mentioned, we have a subcommittee on GDPR. We're trying to grapple with it, and we also engaged, we've also obtained legal advice specific to our issues as to how to progress going forward and how to best, you know, notify our members about things that we're doing without infringing on any of their data protection rights. So bear with us on that, because as I mentioned, that's not so much fun, but we're getting there, I hope. So just to conclude my report for the year, I would really like to thank the committee, as I said. I really would like to thank all of the members who feed in and who help us by, be it in the diploma or speaking at seminars. Really is very important to us, so thank you for that. So unfortunately, because we actually originally had a different date for our AGM, and Siobhan, our treasurer's treasurer, had holiday plans for this week, and then we had to move the AGM. She's not available to present the accounts, but she's talked me through it, and I'm optimistic that I can convey, or at least try to convey, her expertise in the accounts. So I hope you can bear with me. I suppose the first thing to say is that Siobhan's signature isn't on the accounts, but I've met with her, she stands over them, she's happy with them. We just had to correct something this week on the accounts, and she wasn't able to sign it. So as I mentioned, it's for the year ended 31 March 2018. Our accountants are Lewis & Co. And starting at page 3 there, you can see our income. So again, it's because it's not a calendar year and it's March to March, sometimes it's difficult to compare last year and this year because we're not really looking at the full picture, but the analysis is there nonetheless. So we have obviously an increase in conference fees this year, which is positive. And you'll see then our next line item is the STEP tax, or the Institute Tax Seminar, and you can see that there's no income for 2018 there. That's because the joint conference was actually held later in 2017, and then our share of that profit, I think, didn't arrive until April or May, so that's why it doesn't appear on the under 2018 there. Again, you've got the STEP Law Society seminar, and that's the opposite almost, in that we received our income in 2018, but that not in 2017, because we didn't actually have a joint seminar, I think, in 2017. Our sponsorship for the annual conference is consistent at 5,000. Course contribution, that relates to STEP contributing firstly, as they did, to the diploma, the actual whole reform of the diploma that took place now 3 years ago, and then the review of the diploma that took place in the last 12 months. So that's what those two figures are, and then bank interest received. In terms of expenses, then you can see our annual conference and educational events, and that just relates to obviously all of the seminars and our conference that I discussed. You'll see an increase in the expenditure there. And while not an exact science, that most likely relates to the free event that we held in February in the Marion, which cost approximately €2,000. That is the difference there. Obviously, you've got printing and stationery. That tends to relate to the conference manual. Pretty consistent also. We've got website and computer costs. They've increased significantly this year, but again, some years you've more work to do on the website than others, and that's all that reflects. You can see a STEP Prize diploma course for €1,000. The diploma runs every 2 years, so obviously that expenditure only is incurred every 2 years. Education costs, that relates to the money that was expended in reviewing the diploma over the last number of years. And because STEP discharged most of the fee for the review this year, you can see that there was only a small cost that we incurred ourselves. One of the things we do with the Law Society, particularly in relation to the costs of examiners, is that we match the payment that the Law Society makes, because we feel that, particularly on the first occasion that we ran the diploma, we feel that we needed to encourage people to become involved in writing the exam, and people obviously of a certain calibre, and to do so we basically doubled the fee available, and that's what that contribution would be there. So as we matched what the Law Society were offering on that, because we felt it was a significant undertaking. Then you have accountancy and taxation services, so that's Lewis and Co, or auditors, and then bank charges. So you can see an operating surplus, which is up slightly from last year, and then you can see taxation. Sorry, I said 600, but it's €327 is the taxation for this year. So as I said, probably something we'll see a little bit more of as we each year, now that we've kind of reassessed the manner in which we receive income and the nature of the income we receive. And then, as you can see at the end, quite a healthy balance in our accounts of 65,803, and then if you move to the next page, you can see our cash at bank, our creditors, and our reserves. So I hope that gives you a review of our accounts. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer them on the accounts, or we can certainly have Siobhan answer any specific questions when she returns. But I hope I have explained any of the differences that might have arisen from last year. So does anybody have any questions in relation to the accounts? No? Great. We might approve the accounts then, so thankfully, and seconded then, so great, thank you. Okay, so in terms of our committee, I'm pleased to say that everybody is remaining on our committee this year, and I'm going to name them out again, just for the purposes of it being confirmed. But it's John Gill, Barry Keneally, Tina Queally, Aileen Kilgan, myself, Sharon McGuinness, Siobhan Moore, Sandra Mead, Tracy O'Donnell, Claire Toohey, Lydia McCormack, Andrea McNamara, Katrina Cody, Nisha McOwen, Alison Day, Owen Burke, Jim Grogan, Kevin Down and Bridget Doherty. I should mention Bridget as well. Bridget is doing the diploma this year and she's our diploma representative on the committee, so we're very glad that Bridget volunteered and joined us this year. So I'm pleased to also let you know that Nicola Carroll, who is a colleague of mine here in the Law Library, is going to come on our committee. So if I could somebody please propose Nicola. Thanks very much. And second her. Thanks, that's great. Well, welcome Nicola, we're delighted to have you on board. If I can then just agree the appointment of our auditors again, Lewis & Co, 55 Lansdowne Road, Dublin 4, to be appointed as our auditors for the coming year. If someone could propose that, please. It's Tracy, and second. Thanks. Okay, so that pretty much concludes my report and the financial statement for the year. If I can, pardon? Oh, sorry. If I can bore you again by just thanking you for both coming tonight and for coming to our seminars and supporting what we do and being active members, and of course to thank the committee, each of whom has played a role in the work that we do. This year we are celebrating 20 years and we are hopefully going to celebrate that downstairs shortly. I would particularly like to thank our committee members who have assisted in organising tonight. So Katrina Cody put in a huge amount of work in collating all of the invites. Tracy O'Donnell also assisted with the invites, and Owen Burke arranged the balloons, which I'm sure you've already been impressed by. So thanks to the three of those. I hope you have a lovely evening. I hope you enjoy the opportunity of networking and catching up. There's wine and there's a tab behind the bar and there'll be nibbles, so please do enjoy the evening and I shall see you downstairs. Thank you.